This is bad. It's worse than bad. It's terrible. What am I talking about? Last week, it was revealed that a group of bad actors had planned to conduct a terror attack in the USA at the UFC or something like that. And they were planning to use drones to corral people out into an area where they could be shot at. Not good at all. And a really bad look for the hobby, because we know what the public are like. We have finally seen evidence that drones may be used for nefarious purposes, recreational drones probably, used for nefarious purposes by bad actors, and it's going to reflect incredibly poorly on the hobby. It's been a long time coming, but it had to happen. We're constantly in the news as, drones are being vilified left, right, and centre, and this is not going to help us at all. I'm wondering what we should do about it. I don't think there's much we can do about it, unfortunately. We can hope it all dies down, but it's simply going to increase the phobia, the drone phobia within the ranks of the general public, especially the Karens of the world. So we have to be extra cautious and vigilant now. It is indeed a great worry. And while I'm talking about that, what about the hobby? It's time for an update, a state of the hobby. Well, as I mentioned in a recent video, things are not looking that flash. Prices are up, availability's down, certainly in places like the USA. Engagement with the number of people in the hobby seems to be dwindling. Those that are in the hobby are not flying as often as they were. I think a lot of people are getting burnt out, having to deal with regulation and public hysteria, and the massive number of roadblocks that are starting to pop up between you wanting to and you being able to enjoy the hobby. So I think we're probably going to have to realise that the hobby is going to be in decline for a while, probably for quite a while. But if you, like me, want to continue with the hobby, you want to continue enjoying the hobby that brings you so much pleasure, I think you'll have to change what you do and the way you do it. That's what I plan to do. Now, previously we've flown 5-inch drones and 7-inch drones and all that sort of stuff. I think those days are coming to an end. I think the future of the hobby is sub 250, has to be sub 250. If you don't want to have remote ID, if you don't want to have to register your drones or yourself, then sub 250 is the only place we've got left. And the benefit of sub 250 is you can fly a whoop, but people don't even know you're doing it. You're below the radar. You can fly even at the local park, around the school, and 99% of the time people won't even know you're there or that you have a drone. And that's great, because what they don't know won't hurt them. You won't get people coming out of the woodwork accusing you of trying to film them without their permission or whatever. So whoops and sub 250 are probably going to be the way to go, at least for the time being. And even in fixed wing, sub 250 fixed wing, you still don't have to fly in a freer or get registration or remote ID. And things like the little Outlaw 250 that I fly, I have a ball with that thing. I've got a couple more ones I'm working on right now, which I'll be testing as soon as I get mobile again. And I think that we can have a snotload of fun reinventing the hobby, because building things is a lot of fun. Now, Flight Test got into the foam board things. I've come up with another way of building stuff, which I think is so far it's working out really well. That is foam board, but in conjunction with 3D printed mouldings. I'm using 3D printed, like extrusions, to join the foam board together. It's such a great way to build. It's very fast, and if you have a crash or whatever, you can just pull out the piece of foam board, put another piece in, away you go. You can fix it on the spot. Don't even need a hot glue gun. Fantastic. It's brilliant to make quick, disposable or infinitely repairable models and try out ideas at very, very low cost. And that, what I think, is where we want to go. Small models that we can play around with and enjoy. I mean, when I was a kid, I remember the absolute joys of building something as simple as a little chuck glider, a little balsa wood glider. And the challenge was always to get a minute of flight time out of a hand launch of a chuck glider. It was very difficult to do in still air, but you could do it if you'd got everything right. And I think that's another thing that we might want to look at. Let's go simple. We've been in the age of digital computer-controlled radios and flight controllers and GPS for so long. I think we've lost sight of the fact that you can have an awful lot of fun with relatively low-tech models. I'm going to have a little bit more of a play with free flight. I might even build a control line model. I mentioned that last time because I'm walking in circles. I might even build another control line model, electric. Why not? Just for the fun of it, just for the hell of it. People won't complain if you're flying a control line model at a park. So we have to adapt to the environment in which we find ourselves. It's a hostile environment. The public is quite often hostile, regulators are hostile, the media is hostile. So we're going to have to make sure that we don't attract their attention. And I think I'm going to be focusing on ways we can do that in some upcoming videos. Hopefully I'll give you some ideas, some inspiration, some lead. And you'll join me we can have some fun, still have some fun with the hobby, because remember, if you've been flying FPV drones forever, something different might just reinvigorate your interest. If you're feeling a bit jaded, a bit tired, a bit bored, a bit burnt out, how about you try something new? And I'll try and bring you some new stuff. Let's see how we go. Now, speaking of myself and my condition, I have been getting regular vitamin B12 injections. If you go to my Bruce Simpson YouTube channel, I've done a video recently updating everyone on the situation, my progress. I'm actually progressing. It's great. These B12 injections are doing wonders. Fantastic. Of all the stuff that's been, put into me, this is making the biggest difference. And I remember in my last video I mentioned about sponsorship. I was looking for a scooter company to give me sponsorship. Well, that didn't work at all. New Zealand's too far away, and the New Zealand domestic market is too small to warrant even lending someone a scooter for review or for, promotional purposes. I did have a very kind person email me and say, if you can find something on Amazon, then they'll ship it to New Zealand, I'll buy it for you. I mean, good grief. The people who watch this channel never cease to amaze me with their generosity and the thing, they're all heroes. You're all bloody heroes. Fantastic. I must get back to the guy. I haven't emailed him back yet because I've been looking on Amazon, hoping something would come up. But the only things that have come up that can be shipped to New Zealand are really low power scooters that wouldn't make it up the hill from the town to airport or back coming home up the hill to the house. So I'd be pushing them, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a scooter. But I'm still optimistic. Maybe it'll happen. But in the meantime, I've been spending an awful lot of time doing exercise, physio, getting these injections, and it's paying dividends. I am improving. I'm actually back to my regular exercise regime, so I'm starting to lose a bit of weight, starting to gain back a bit of muscle. Oh, it's all going well. I'm really, really happy. Things are moving along very, very nicely. I'm still not walking any further than the end of the driveway, though. That'll have to come in time. But as I say, in the meantime, I want to get some. The purpose of this channel is to promote the hobby, to inform the hobby, and to entertain people. I've got to get back to that. Now, obviously, one of the hurdles I've had to face is our local council, as we all know. And things have gone from ridiculous to absolutely lunacy at that council now. You won't believe the latest load of rubbish they've trotted out. If you want to know about it, I'll do a video. But basically what it boils down to is I am now the most dangerous man in this town. According to the council, I pose a threat to safety. I must be trespassed because I am a dangerous, threatening individual who compromises the safety of the staff. Honestly, I'll tell you about it in a video. It's fantastic. If you want that video, leave a comment to that effect, give the video a like, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe so you don't miss it when I bring it out. You will be entertained up to here. It's fantastic. Anyway, aside from that, I still intend to be back on the airfield as soon as possible. It's winter here now. There's not a lot of action. It's a lovely day today, though, I've got to say. I should have been flying, but I've been making this video and doing some other stuff. And I want to also, as I've mentioned in a previous video, the profile of the hobby on the internet, on YouTube in particular, is dwindling. It's disappearing. Used to be you'd log in and there'd be, dozens of videos every day from people flying fixed wing, flying drones and telling you how to do stuff. There was a really active online community in the hobby in YouTube. Lots of videos and people would come across these videos. I would almost wager that most of the people who got into the drone flying hobby in the last 10 years did so because they saw a video on YouTube. It's not happening anymore. People aren't posting. Partly because they don't want to incriminate themselves because regulation is now so tight, but also because, as I say, they're a bit burnt out and they're not flying as often as they did, and also because YouTube doesn't pay anymore. YouTube just does not pay anymore. People can't do full-time YouTube. I'm lucky I have my Patreon supporters. It's pretty dodgy. I've got, I think, about 3 weeks worth of savings left, but thanks to the generosity of kind people who have, given super chats on these videos, I'll be able to pay my bills again this month. And now that I'm getting better, I just have to ramp up the content without boring you by doing stuff you're not interested in, which brings me to my next point. A lot of people pivoting, as I've said, other things, looking at other things, and I've seen a lot of people just rolling out the same content time and time again, hoping that some of it will catch and they'll get a viral video and they'll be able to buy lunch. My goal is to just continue what I've been doing and try and, do it better. But also, I'm aware that there are other things out there that maybe I should cover a little bit. Now, one of those things is AI. We all love AI, don't we? We love AI. Well, actually, we don't. I've got my own AI. I'm tired of using Gemini and ChatGPT. I've built my own AI server. And you're saying, how did you do that, Bruce? You don't have any money. I'll tell you how I did it. Used a Raspberry Pi. I'll show you in a minute. I'll take you inside and show you what I've done. I don't intend to make this an AI channel, but I just thought you might be interested because I'm using this little Raspberry Pi with its own AI, large language model, to solve a little problems and help me cut some code and help me with design stuff. It's bloody brilliant. I very rarely use the big chatbot AI systems now, and it's something to do with the Raspberry Pi if you got one. So as I say, look at that, but I don't know what else to cover. One thing that really concerns me is the price of computer stuff. If you want to build a computer these days, well, you've got to have a deep pockets if you can get the parts. We've got RAM and video RAM and GPUs and SSDs. They've all gone through the roof. You can't afford to buy this stuff. It's crazy, and that's really pissing off a lot of computer gamers because they have this regular upgrade cycle every year or two. They upgrade their computers to the latest and greatest, and usually it doesn't cost that much. But now, the price of these things, some of these things have increased by a factor of 5, 6 or more. So, I mean, I was lucky. I built my current PC just before all the prices went mad. So I got a good machine at a good price. I could not afford to build that now. I would like to put more RAM in it, but I can't afford to buy more RAM. It's too expensive. So I'm thinking, from the hobby perspective, if we want new people to come into this hobby, why don't we look at the PC gaming people, PC gamers? I mean, they're finding themselves up against a brick wall. Soon they may not even be able to buy the parts they need to maintain or build new systems. So what are they going to do? Well, I figure they might be interested in FPV. What do you reckon? And flying model aircraft. I mean, a lot of them first-person shooter things. They're used to joysticks and controls and things. They've got probably flown flight simulators or games that involve flight simulation. We should introduce them to the hobby and show them that you can get out of your mother's basement, you can actually get a real tan, and you can enjoy life in the outdoors and have much more fun than you do behind a computer by flying a real thing in the real sky. Maybe we should give that a go. If you've got a friend who's a computer gamer, try and introduce them to the hobby. Show them. Maybe start them off with a FPV simulator and say, look, this is boring compared to the real thing. And then we can get them out there because we need to keep that critical mass of people in the hobby. Because if we don't, then the more the hobby shrinks, the faster it shrinks. And although it's cyclic, it goes up and down from peak to trough, eventually we run the risk that it will just almost die out, never die out, but it will become such a minority hobby. We won't have numbers. If we need to push back, for example, at the moment, sub 250, it's all fine, it's all good, it's all great, we've got a lot of freedoms, but it's only a matter of time before regulators say, we should be regulating these little drones because they're quite capable now. We've seen that in Japan where they reduced the weight limit from 250 grams to, I think, 199 or something. They've been lowering the ceiling as the drones have got more capable. So we need to be there in enough numbers that if they decide to say, well, all drones have to be registered now, we can stand up and say, not happening. No compliance, piss off. We're a group of many and we're prepared to stand our ground, like we should have done right back at the beginning of all this crap when they revoked Section 336 in the USA. We need to be prepared for the next step, prepared for it, because that's coming. As a result of this terror plot in the USA, right now you can guarantee there are people lobbying to very much restrict the availability and the use of recreational drones. I mean, we've seen it in China. Parts of China, you cannot buy a drone, you cannot fly a drone because it's considered too much of a security risk. So we really do need to work on that. We need to take great care because everything is being clamped down on. I mean, this is something else I like to talk about from time to time. Put your rant hat on, I'm putting mine on. The internet. What a wonderful thing the internet is. Look, you're watching it now. Without the internet, you couldn't see me in all my glory on a cool winter's evening in New Zealand. But the internet is a threat to the powers that be. Governments see the internet as a threat. They're a hotbed of dissent, and people organise themselves against oppression and over-regulation using the internet, so it must be controlled. And that's exactly what is happening around the world. Look at Australia. Australia have introduced a ban. If you're under 16, you're not allowed to use social media. No, you're not. You're not allowed to use it. What the hell? What gives the government the right to say, we're going to parent your children for you? It shouldn't have that right. That's a parent's job and a parent's responsibility, but they've said it. But it's not because they want to protect children. They say, oh, think of the children. We're protecting the children. That is a Trojan horse. That's bullshit. What they're saying is we want to force people to identify themselves when they go online. Because if they identify themselves, we can track everywhere they go. We can track everything they do, everything they say, every interaction they have. We can record that, log that. And then we can run AI on that data and we can highlight people of interest, people who may be potentially criminals, potentially terrorists, potentially fomenting dissent against the government of the day. These things, no Western government in the world will be able to resist the temptation to introduce a mandatory digital ID for internet access. It's going to happen over the next 5 years. Wherever you live in the Western world, you will end up having to have mandatory digital ID in order to get on the internet. So they can track your every move. And if you start saying things they don't like, well, they can deal with you. It's worked so well in China with that social credit system. The Chinese people are passive. They are completely oppressed by the government. They do whatever they're told because they know the alternatives are just too scary to think about. And that's going to happen in the Western world. Power corrupts. You put people in positions of power in government and they want more power. They want more control. They want to make sure that their position is secured by suppressing anyone that might pose a threat to their position. And today, with AI, they have that power, they have that ability. Huge amounts of data can be collected and analysed automatically in a blink of an eye to highlight the important things, the things that they want to see to make sure they maintain that control. This is I'm an old hippie from years ago, so this is one of the drums I like to bang, and I'm really concerned at what I see. So maybe I can do a bit of that from time to time, just to, stop you getting too bored with drone stuff and model aircraft stuff. But we really need to. I've got ideas about this too. Just as I'm thinking we should all go sub 250 to stay under the radar and avoid being seen by people when we fly, I think we need to propose alternatives to the internet we have, because the problem we have with the internet is that there are fixed points of access. They're called ISPs. To get online, you've got to have an ISP account, and if the government says to the ISP, you must require all people using your service to use a mandatory digital ID when they log in, then they'll have to do it, or they'll be out of business. They'll have no option. But there are other options, new technologies that are coming out, things called mesh networks, like Meshtastic, where instead of having a single point of access to the internet, you have a network that is organic and grows, and every node on that network can be a point of access. So you can buy a little device from China, turn it on, and it networks with all the other similar devices around you. You can send and receive information. You can do whatever you like. Now, at the moment, these things are pretty limited because they use a technology called LoRa, which is a very long-range technology designed to get long range out of a little bit of power. So they don't have much bandwidth. You can't use streaming video, and you can't send big pictures and things. It's mainly text. It's a bit like SMS on your phone, a bit like texting on your phone. But we have the ability to develop high bandwidth versions of this mesh networking that would enable you to create the equivalent of a smartphone that didn't use the cellular network, that didn't use the internet as we know it, but would still provide all those services simply by relaying data through other devices within range with a mesh network thing. And then you're totally anonymous. You cannot be tracked. The data cannot be collected. It's for you and you only. You're not identified. It is a way to break free of the surveillance that Western governments are now imposing on anyone that wants to use the internet. We've got to stand up for ourselves, and if we have to use technology to do that, we should do that. And this is something I'm interested in covering. Now tell me, should I do another channel? Should I put this on a separate channel, maybe on my Bruce Simpson channel? Because I know a lot of people who are here for the drones and the hobby stuff aren't interested. They don't want to know about this stuff. It's just, it's a lot of channels, when they pivot, they disappear because the primary audience just says, not interested anymore. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that I'm, if I do it occasionally, it's not going to piss you off. And maybe if you're interested, I can do it occasionally. You tell me. Go to the comments. Leave a comment. Right, so there we go. That's my update video. I will take you inside now and just give you a brief look at my large language model running on the Raspberry Pi, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, here it is, Raspberry Pi in a little 3D printed case. All I've got connected is the power, and I've got a keyboard mouse through here through a little wireless link. But that's it. It just sits under the desk, churns away 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing all my AI large language requirements. And if you see everyone talking about you need these big GPUs, you need racks of equipment. No, this does it for me. It's very slow, but I don't care. I just do other things while I'm waiting for it. I'll show you how it works if you're interested. Let's go over to the other computer, because I just connect to this through the internet, through my local LAN. I use the wireless connection, and it comes up as in a window on my Linux desktop. Let's go and have a look. Right, here is the local model. Let's ask it a simple question. What are you? And here we go. It actually prints in a dimmer font the thinking that goes into producing the response. And as you can see, it's not insanely fast. It's not even slightly fast. It's actually quite slow. But what do you expect? It's a Raspberry Pi. It's a cheap little single board, well, it used to be cheap until the prices went up, cheap single board computer that you just buy and forget. So it's going to go through all the background thinking, and then it will pop up the response that we're looking for. And this takes a while, so I'll leave it going. We'll do it in real time so you get an idea of what it actually takes. But of course, I tend to run this while I'm doing other things. So I'll put a query in, and then I'll come back when it's done. So it says, I'm Gemma 4, large language model developed by Google, DeepMind. I am an open weights model. So It's 2 billion parameters, 2 billion parameters. So I'll clear that. And let's do something really simple like create a hello world program in Python. So this is what I use. Creating little code snippets, quite useful for that. It knows enough about Python to create some, fairly useful bits of code. And again, it goes through, you can see it doing all its reasoning in the background. I'll speed this up because you don't want to wait for it. And here we go, there it is. Here's the classic Hello World program in Python. Print Hello World. And it even goes on to tell you how to run the program in case you don't know. Of course, I do know how to run it, but it's giving you all the instructions, just quite handy. If you're learning a language, this is actually great. It knows a lot of computer language. It's really quite useful to have this, because I could, for example, say, now give me a hello world program in C. And once again, it'll go away, do its thinking, and come back. And here it is, the Hello World program in C. Even tells you how to compile and run it. So yeah, I mean, for little bits and pieces like this, it's not going to write you a complete program, little app for your phone, or even a complete game program. It's going to give you bits of code that you'd otherwise have to write by hand, and which takes time. I can just say, give me a piece of code that does this, and it spits it out. Mostly it's right. It's not always right, but it's near enough. It saves me a bit of time, and it doesn't cost me a cent, not paying anyone a monthly fee, just putting that old Raspberry Pi to use. Anyway, that was just an appendage to this video so you could see what was happening. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.
Hi, Grace.
G'day, how you going?
Good.
Good.
Have you got your permit?
Documentation? Yeah, I think, hang on. Hang on to that for me. Duck.
Oh, it's like a PlayStation.
There's a. Here we go. Permit to fly.
Okay, have you got it in English?
Oh, I've got a letter of authority. It's got the mayor's picture on it.
Okay, have you got permission from here?
I've got this here. This is official drone badge, gold. That's signed. Okay.
Do you mind if I photocopy these?
Oh yeah, you're welcome to.
Thank you.
Yeah, you want this one too?
Yes, please.
There you go. Yeah, by all means. By all means.
Excellent.
Do you want to land it for me?
I don't know how to land it.
Where is it?
What
have you done with it? Where's it gone?
Here you go.
You're supposed to have it in... I'm not taking it. You.
Right, I'll just go and photocopy those.
Where's it gone?
I don't know.
Oh no.